In the noisiest moments of history, the wisest people chose silence. While the world shouted, they listened. And in that stillness, they changed everything. Long ago, in the heart of ancient India, nestled between the curves of the Himalayan mountains, lived a boy named Riku. He wasn't like other boys in the village. While others played, fought, and chased goats through the fields, Aarav sat quietly under the Bodhi tree. Not because he was weak or sad, but because he found something powerful in silence. He had heard stories of sages who had once meditated in caves for years, emerging wiser, calmer, and deeply connected to something the world couldn't see. His grandfather, a wise old man with skin like parchment and eyes full of stars, often told him, "Riku, silence is not emptiness. It's full of answers." Those words echoed in Aarav's heart. He wanted to know what silence held. When he turned 15, Riku left the comfort of his home, walking through forests and valleys, seeking the great silence the sages spoke of. On his journey, he met monks in Tibet who meditated for hours without a word. He met African elders who listened to the wind before making a decision. He traveled to ancient Greece and learned about Pythagoras, the philosopher who insisted his students observe a vow of silence for 5 years, believing that wisdom only enters minds that are still. Riku began to understand, silence was not just about not speaking, it was about deep listening. Years passed. Riku became known as a thinker, a teacher. People came from distant lands to seek his advice. But one day, a great conflict broke out between two kingdoms that bordered his village. Tensions rose. Violence was brewing. Both sides sought his wisdom. They asked him to speak, to choose a side. But Riku chose silence. People were angry. "Why won't you speak?" they asked. "Don't you care?" He looked at them calmly and said only this. "Words are powerful. But not all power should be used hastily. Let me listen, truly listen." For 7 days, Riku meditated, sat with both kings, watched the people, observed the pain. He said nothing. On the 8th day, he called for a meeting and spoke just 27 words. And in those words, he reminded them not of war or politics, but of shared suffering, shared humanity, and the cost of noise that drowns out reason. His voice was soft, but the silence that came after was louder than any war drum. The kingdom stood down. Centuries later, Riku's teachings were found in scrolls buried beneath temple stones. One of them read, "In the space between words, we find truth. In the stillness between breaths, we find peace." From Buddha's silence under the Bodhi tree to Da Vinci's habit of retreating into stillness to unlock his creativity. From Gandhi's silent protests to Einstein's long, quiet walks. History is marked by men and women who chose silence not as weakness, but as wisdom. Today, the world is louder than ever. Notifications, arguments, constant chatter. But science now confirms what sages always knew: silence heals. MRI scans show that silence regenerates brain cells. Moments of stillness reduce stress, enhance creativity, and restore focus. But more than all of that, silence reconnects us with ourselves. So the next time life feels overwhelming, when your mind spins and the world demands your voice, don't be afraid to step back. Don't be afraid to not answer. Don't be afraid to be still. Because in the silence, you just might hear the wisdom your soul has been whispering all along. Moral of the story: silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of clarity. In a world full of noise, those who listen will always find the truth.